Thank you all for joining us on our talk on beekeeping and mental health. We will not only be covering mental health and how beekeeping has helped us in that, but also we may be throwing in some conversation about agriculture too, and mental health, and just being outdoors overall. We try to do these discussions once a month. Last month we did a beginner beekeeper discussion. No, that was January. February we skipped because we had other things we were working on. We do plan on doing more talks like these. If there's any subject that you would like us to talk on or discuss, feel free to message any one of us and give us suggestions. If you'd like to jump on one of these talks with us, feel free to message one of us and we can get you in on those talks as well. But we do want to thank you all for joining us. We're going to take a moment to introduce ourselves, and I will start with me, and then I'll move on to my other companions here. So my name is Nika Forte, and I am an urban farmer and beekeeper here in Phoenix, Arizona. I run several urban farms, a community garden, and I also train women to be beekeepers. The name of my beekeeping group is Bayhive_beekeepers. If you're looking for us on Instagram or just Bayhive Beekeepers on Facebook. And I've been beekeeping since 2016, 2017, something that I absolutely fell in love with. Did it as a way to increase the production on our farms without putting too much input or any chemicals into the farm space. Once I got into beekeeping, it was just something I was obsessed with. And because I live in Arizona and there are not a lot of beekeepers that look like me, it was my goal to create a group that did, so that we can build together, learn together. You don't see a lot, again, of Black beekeepers in Arizona locally. And I want kids and community to see themselves in every aspect of agriculture, not just growing food, but also bees. And so that's what I do. If you have any questions, you can follow me. And I'm going to turn it over to Karen and let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Nika. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Bigelow, also known as Beekeeping While Black on social media and websites. I started Beekeeping While Black because I felt very alone in my experience as a new Black beekeeper. When I started, I'm now going into my fourth season, and it's been really great to build community and help to resource other beekeepers. And I am based in DC, and I'm trying to expand in the city. And so I am an urban beekeeper, and I'm not sure what else to say, but happy to talk. I like to do a lot of my work around the intersections of climate and food or agriculture. And so beekeeping is the perfect thing to be at those intersections. And so happy to geek out with people if you want to at another time. Thanks everyone for being here.
Now we're going to turn it over to Bruce, and Bruce is actually going to be the one leading this talk today. And so, go ahead, Bruce.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys for coming and joining us today. My name is Bruce Thompson. I'm known in some social media spaces as Bruce Beekeeper. Um, I live in Wilmington, Delaware. I am also a urban beekeeper. What else? I've been beekeeping now. This is my second season as a I guess, lead beekeeper. I started off with my mentor um, about 2 seasons ago now. And I beekeep with a friend of mine from work. And yeah, um, so today we are going to be talking about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, which is mental health. Um, And we're going to start with nature and mental health. So, cover the bullet points. as little as 5 minutes spent outside can decrease your anxiety levels and help you lessen stress. There are studies that show that literally just being outside does something to us and helps us uh, ward off depression and anxiety. Um, I know that everyone probably experiences the generalized depression that happens during the winter seasons when we see less of the sun. We're less likely to go outside because of colder temperatures and things of that nature. And this is literally the explanation as to why. Um, and in our community, we literally tell people to touch grass. We might say that to make fun when people are getting a little bit too uh, whatever, but it's based in fact, it's based in truth, that we as human beings have a connection to the earth, and it is a relationship that benefits us if we take part in it. So that's nature and mental health. So basically, being outside and being in the sun and doing things outdoors can help improve your mental health. I guess we can go on to the next slide from there. So this is one that's a little bit more deep and more concerning to us. And when I say us, I mean our community, people that look like me, the Black community in mental health. While putting this slide together, it was two things happened. It was very shocking to read the studies that backed up things that I had already known. And it was also a little bit daunting to kind of pick out what is the most important things when it comes to the Black community and mental health. And what I have here listed are some of the things that stuck out to me. As we all know, African Americans, we make up 13% of the United States population. But I was very, very surprised to see that nearly 20% of us are living with mental health issues, and there are a lot of things that go into why we suffer in the numbers that we suffer in. This is a very intersectional conversation. It crosses social economics, education, access, all sorts of things as to the reasons why we are represented this way with this number. But the next bullet really hits home as well because it reflects why we still continue to suffer in the numbers that we do. And it is because of our stigma towards mental health and mental illness as compared to our white counterparts or anyone else across the board. And again, that's another conversation that's very nuanced, that has things to do with our cultural backgrounds, because of course, Black folks in America aren't a monolith. We come from a wide variety of different cultural backgrounds, but also religion plays a part in that as well. And I think that that's what the biggest thing that made me want to have this talk today, or talk about this issue, is to kind of change that stigma and make it okay to speak about mental health, make it okay for people to seek therapy and medical professionals when it comes to our mental health. But again, there's also other reasons why we don't seek out professionals other than stigmas. It's the mistrust of the healthcare system, healthcare professionals. And again, that's really just another nuance and intersectional conversation. There's always a reason as to why. And I think that as we all know, our history here in this country lends to the reasoning behind this fact, because we haven't been able to trust those who are supposed to have the best intentions for our care. So it's really important that we have talks like this, and that we are showing people that it's okay to talk about their struggles with mental health. And like, I go to therapy, I talk about going to therapy all the time, I take medications for depression and anxiety, I speak about it, and I do this so that we can break the stigma, because I, more than loving being a beekeeper, I love being a Black beekeeper, and loving being a Black beekeeper means loving Black folks. And I want to see us do better and be better. So I think this is just a really, really important conversation, even outside of beekeeping, that we talk about. Yeah, I think I kind of blazed through that slide, but I think we can go to the next one. Unless you guys want to add anything? No? Anyone? Okay, cool. We can go to the next slide. Awesome. This picture was actually taken today when I went and saw my girls for the first time. They made it through the winter, and that makes me really, really happy. Beekeeping and mental health. I mean, the bullet points are, it reduces stress and anxiety, improves mindfulness. There are studies that say that the vibrations emitted by the bees can lower, cortisol levels. There are also studies that say beekeepers live longer for the same reason. Vibrations have been studied, and they're known to have healing properties. By consuming bee products, beekeepers, I forgot what oh, there's a material that's in bee products, and it extends human life. The bees are literally life givers, and it's really awesome. This third bullet point, the responsibility of caring for something living, provides an immense sense of value and gives you purpose to each new day. And I chuckled reading that. I chuckled putting it in the slide, because it's like, okay, I'm a beekeeper, and then like, around it, like, I kind of have I do that. I try to take care of things, and it makes you feel good. It helps you battle the sads, when you have a purpose outside of going to work to make money to pay bills that you have to pay just for being alive. It helps a lot. So beekeeping, in a sense, has really saved my life. I have my story with beekeeping comes directly from my job. I had experienced a few years ago a point of homelessness, and I was lucky enough to make it back home, and where I had some friends, and I got a job right away working at the nonprofit organization that I work at now. and I found out that the executive director had installed beehives on the roof of this historic theater that I work at. And when I found that out, I was just super intrigued. And he came by and he was like, "Well, do you want to go see them?" And I went up to the roof, and literally that was that. I've been hooked ever since. The next year, he retired and handed over the beekeeping responsibilities to me and another one of my coworkers. And it's been a miraculous journey for me. Um, it has introduced me to the two young ladies that I'm here with now. I started beekeeping. I went on Twitter, posted a picture, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a black beekeeper. I want to know who the other black beekeepers are." And that tweet went viral, and my messages were blown up, and everybody was telling me to hit up Beekeeping While Black, and hit her up, and she introduced me to Nika and some other people. And it's been great learning about bees, learning about how there aren't just honeybees, about how you know there are over 4,000 species of bees that people don't even talk about. We only focus on honeybees. There's native bees. Um, I could just go on and on and on about my love for the bees, but specifically this picture, it was just a moment that, like, after the winter and you make it through and the sun is shining again and you're able to go outside and, you know, have the warm air touch your skin. I just sat down for a second and just realized how much I had missed being at my hives. Um, how glad that I was that they made it through the winter, and this was just me uh, kind of basking in this being a beekeeper, the listening to the buzz of the girls. And yeah, my partner talks about how I'm normally an anxious person and I'm all over the place. I have ADD, and but as soon as we open up the hive, I kind of lock in and I smooth out, and so much so that I am kind of an anchor for her. Um, and yeah, there's just this common effect that the girls have when you have, like, 80,000 bees just buzzing, and they're doing their thing. You kind of get transposed to like another world and nothing else matters. It's just you and the hive. Um, but yeah, that's my story. That's how bees for beekeeping for me connects to my mental health. And yeah, I'll just throw my partners here, and if they'd like to share as well.
Yeah, so definitely, when it comes to beekeeping and my mental health and agriculture and my mental health, I too am by nature an anxious person. I move a million miles a minute. I have a million things that I'm working on at one time or thinking about at one time. If you do suffer from anxiety or those things, you know that there's always intrusive thoughts that are happening, no matter what you're working on and when you're working on it. So, for me, once I did get out there, being a beekeeper forces you to do a number of things. One, it forces you to be in the moment. When you are working your bees, you always have to be mindful of what's happening with them and your surroundings at that time. You don't have time to think about the grocery list or, the laundry or the project that you're supposed to be working on. It forces you to be right there in the moment with them. It forces you to move slower than you would um, in your normal everyday life. You can't just run through your hives willy-nilly, moving through their frames frantically because bees will match your energy, right? So before I work my hive, I'm always centering myself, maybe doing a moment of breath work or some type of meditation before I go in. So it forces me to do that as well. It forces me to think something outside of myself. Like Bruce said, it teaches you to care for something. This is something just bigger than, you know, something that affects just you. Bees affect the world, right? And the way we care for them affects the world. It affects how food is grown. It affects how trees are grown. Um, it also forces you to plan and also at the same time be flexible, right? Because what you may think your bees need in any moment or what you may have planned to do at any moment may not necessarily be what the bees need. And you may find that you need to shift things around. So priorities and plans sometimes get changed or need to be pushed to another time. So you have to be flexible. So if you have control issues, that's not going to be a place where that shows up very well, or or it should show up very well because you're not the one in control when you're opening that hive. Your job is to assist. So it forces you to be a steward and be something outside of yourself for a moment, so that you're doing something that is that is best for them, and also is going to be safe for you while you're working the hive. Because a lot of times when I am working the hives, there's more than one of us out there, right? It forces me to also not be mindful of not just be mindful of the bees and myself, but also the people that I'm working with on the space. Because depending on that person's level of experience, they may have a bit of anxiety once the bees get to moving around them, right? And so it's my job to stay in a very calm and an even energy so that when those times arise where someone may be getting a little anxious because maybe a bee got in their suit, or something, the buzz got a little too loud for them, you have to be their calming rod during that time, right? You're the one that has to refocus the situation. So it teaches you really like so much, um not just about you, but also about the world, about how we should navigate in the world, which also is very helpful for your mental health. So, like when you watch the bees moving through the hive and you see the way that they care for each other, that kind of forces you to show up in the world better yourself, right? When you're working those hives and you happen to see one bee stuck in a drop of honey and watching her sisters clean her off or pull her out of a sticky situation, or fight off a predator or an invader together, right? It gets you thinking about how you show up in the world and how you can show up in that way too. So there's lots of studies on the vibration of bees, and there's lots of studies on how beekeepers live longer lives, but it's not just about you, and it's not just about the bees either. And so again, the mental health aspect of that is that it gets you thinking on a broader wavelength, and you feeling more connected to people, and you being mindful of the energy that you radiate at any given moment. So not just when you're with your bees, you're more calm when you show up in other spaces, and spaces that may be triggering to you, or that may be high stress areas. Working those bees and being a steward to them forces you to show up better in every aspect of your life. Maybe you'll have just a little bit more patience for your partner, or a little bit more patience for your children, or a little bit more patience with that coworker that every time she walk in, you want to run the other way. but you may eventually just be like, you know what, my energy is not going to shift. And maybe if I show up in a calm way for her, that will help, the exchange that we have with each other. So it's definitely helped me in that way. It's helped me be a better teacher, a better learner, a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, a better sister, a better community member, a better human on this planet. Um, and so I say that when you're getting into beekeeping and you're thinking of the different ways that you can possibly make money off of it or what you're going to be getting from it, I want you to also think about the mental health aspect that you're going to get from that as well, and the way that that's going to help those around you because you're going to show up better. So it's not just about the beekeeping. Yeah, that's my story, my spills. I know Karen probably has some thoughts as well on mental health and how it's helped her in beekeeping.
Yeah, I definitely do. So being transparent, I've honestly had depression since I was like in the third grade, due to some childhood traumas. And so it very much comes and goes. And ever since I started beekeeping, 3 years ago, I have had experiences where honestly, I felt horrible. And please don't take this as medical advice, but there's just moments when I just don't feel that well emotionally. And I've been able to go and just something about spending time with my bees the next day just put me in a better mood. That's not to say that it cures depression, but it definitely gives a nice it definitely releases some serotonin and has helped me. And it's helped me also, even in moments when I'm feeling like my usual self, to be able to feel some sense of being empowered. It's something about being with the hive. And to Nika's point around like you're not in control, I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. And it's really applied to me from a in my life, especially from a spiritual sense of having to um, really release control because you can't control the bees. The bees do what they're going to do. They know what they're doing. As beekeepers, we help with disease management. We make sure that things are going well. But at the end of the day, we don't make honey. We don't make anything in that hive. The bees do it. And so, and to Nika's point, there's times where they dictate what's happening. There's times when I go in the hive and I realize, oh, I can't stay here much longer. And so I go back. And so it's one of those things where it is humbling because I know I'm not in control. And I also think about this experience as not just about my mental health, but also my self discovery. As a person, I think we're always on this evolving journey. And what I have found is that I was actually reading this book called Too Heavy a Yoke. Around the time that I was actually got into beekeeping, and it talks about how, especially for Black women, about letting go of the trope of the strong Black woman. And one of the things that the author talks about towards the end of the book is like the cure to the strong Black woman trope that can often be unhealthy for Black women is actually for Black women to go through this process of self discovery and self definition. And part of liberation, the author talks about, is being able to have one, total freedom from all kinds of oppression, and two, the ability to self determine. And I think as I've been able to go on this process of beekeeping, it's been a healing experience for me to be able to self-define and to be able to find myself in the process. I would have never thought I would be a beekeeper as somebody who grew up in a city. I just would have never like I probably couldn't imagine it 5 years ago, honestly. And so I just kind of randomly decided to become a beekeeper one day. Literally, I was just like, I think I can do that. And then I started doing research. And so it was very random how I became a beekeeper, but I never thought that I would have gone through this process of frankly feeling more like myself and finding in this niche area of being a Black beekeeper that this is where the magic is for me, that this is where the growth has come. This is where I have just found a part of myself that I didn't know was missing. And so for me, I just love this process of being a beekeeper because it has showed me things that I've never thought I would have shown, I would have seen. And I've been able to learn life lessons from just watching the bees, especially as Nika also mentioned, like their ability to take care of each other. It just makes me, it just even influences how I see things from a political lens and how we as people need to be together and work towards the same mission in the same way that bees do. And so I don't want to ramble on too much, but just to say, beekeeping has been, it has helped me in ways that I never imagined that it would. And I'm just so grateful for this journey. And I don't know if any of you, as participants, want to speak about your experience or even just what made you, or if you have any questions, but just happy to kind of just be in dialogue at this point. And again, if anyone wants to talk but doesn't feel comfortable with there being a recording, just let us know and we can pause the discussion.
Yeah, and I will say no shade to Bruce, so, brother. You know I love you always and forever. But I'm so happy that there's a lot of women on this talk today, because beekeeping through history has been represented as a very white male dominated industry, right? And so, like, there is definitely empowerment in beekeeping, empowerment in community with beekeeping, empowerment in these discussions when it comes to beekeeping, because it does really feel good to see women really diving in and kind of like staking their flag in this space, right? Because again, Bruce, sorry, love you. But you know, like the hive is 98% female, right? And and they are the prime example of sisterhood, and you know, and like how we can build each other up, not just in this realm of beekeeping, but also in society, period, right? And so it is definitely an empowering thing to do when, and especially after you get your hives through like one full year, right? Like there's going to be times like we had this discussion last time. There are people who have these really unrealistic expectations about what beekeeping looks like, and sometimes your bees don't last the whole year, right? Sometimes it takes time for you to learn how to work a hive and manage a hive and inspect the hive and really like, you know, get a hand of like really working it before you get to a point where your bees are like completely thriving and like they pretty much can sustain themselves self-sufficient, right? And so once you get through that year, you know, and you're able to collect your honey, there's like another level of like empowerment and this boost that happens to you and encouraging you to do the work and keep it going. So yeah, I love this space. I love that I'm seeing more women in the space and doing beekeeping. I love the fact that we're all finding ways to connect with each other. That maybe is outside of the box for some. And yeah, I just these discussions alone and just looking at the screen and seeing the different people on is like a boost in my morale for the day. You know, right when you're feeling like you want to wind down and you're tired and you just had enough, then you come into a group and you're not sure who's going to show up and who's going to, you know, want to be a part of the discussion. And then you get some faces on there and you're like, okay, well, yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so yeah, I'm glad. I'm sorry, Bruce, I didn't mean to take over your top, but just wanted to throw that in there right quick.
No, it's perfectly fine. I understand my position in space. And yeah, I welcome all that. Um, did anybody else want to share or have any questions? What season are you guys going into if you do have bees?
Yeah, how many of you guys have bees currently?
So this is Devin. I do not have bees as of yet. It is a goal of mine to receive bees this year. I went through a beekeeping course, finished it last year, where I just kind of got some hands-on experience, and I wanted to I thought I was moving. I didn't want to move with bees, so that's why I waited. And so I don't have bees yet, but I've been trying to get more hands-on experience and um yeah, I guess just kind of curious about what are some tips for someone like me who's about to jump into keeping bees.
Do any of you guys want to take that on, or you want me to jump on
You can.
it?
Oh, that is your thing.
Always one, start small. Don't go and get like 5 or 6 hives. Some people will recommend that you start with 2. If you can, start with 2. If you can only do 1, that's fine. But we recommend that you start with 2 because you're going to get 2 different experiences out of those 2 hives. It's going to teach you to be flexible. You're going to notice things that are happening in one hive that's not happening in the other. So you're always going to be learning from those hives. And then you also want to have a backup in case anything happens with one of the hives. Another thing is never stop learning. The minute you think that you know everything about beekeeping, you have failed and you're going to do more harm than good. You will never know enough. Um, learn from different people. I train women to beekeep, and I also suggest that they sign up for other classes as well and work with other mentors because maybe the way I do beekeeping is not the way that they want to set it up. There's lots of different ways that you set up your bees. There's lots of different ways that people manage their bees. You should learn from more than one person, even if that's reading some books. So I definitely recommend the Shamanic Way of the Bee. That's a book on bees. I recommend Beekeeping for Dummies. Very basic, very thorough, very easy to read. Um, I also recommend, I have a couple books here. So this is the Shamanic Way of the Bee. And that is by Simon Buxton. Very good and easy read. Finish it in a day. Keeping Bees with a Smile. Principles and practice of natural beekeeping, because there are some people who do use chemicals and other things to maintain their hives, and there's other people who do not, which is why I always say learn from more than one person. Another book that I highly recommend that you get, which is a very simple book, but it's definitely going to help you, is a queen spotting book. Queen spotting, you can buy this on Amazon. It's maybe like 19 bucks. It's by someone named Hillary Kearney, and it basically has different pictures, and you will be able to learn how to spot your queen. Spotting your queen is something you're going to want to know how to do, especially if you're buying bees that are not marked. Like some bees, if you buy them, they're going to come with a marked queen. Sometimes you're going to get it and it's not with a marked queen, but you want to be able to recognize your queen in your hive. And this is a book that's going to help you recognize her. I use this in classes when I teach. I have huge printed out posters of these when I do events for kids. It's a cool activity. Has lots of different things, all the way from beginner all the way to advanced, where it's like really hard to spot her on a page. So that's one. There's always Backyard Beekeeping for Business startup book. If you want to know how to make money off your hives, whether that's using the wax from your hives, the propolis from your hives to make tinctures, or the honey itself, this is an easy read and a nice book. And then I have Langstrop's Hives and the Honeybee, and it is by Langstrop, who actually designed the bee box that most beekeepers in the US use to keep their hives. So those are definitely some books that I would suggest if you don't want to pay, because look, I'm going to tell you this. I don't want to pay $400 every time I want to take a beekeeper class, but I'm definitely a bookworm, and I will read a book, and I will listen to books. A lot of the experience you're going to get is going to be hands-on, you working your hive as well. That's where you're going to learn the most. Most of the stuff that you learn in the books are going to be in the back of your mind, but what's going to come up most and it's going to help you in your journey is your hands-on work with your bees and your experience working with them. So that's what I would suggest for a beginner beekeeper. And I'm sorry if that was a super long answer. Oh, and you can always join my classes too. So follow me.
I was
Follow
about to say that
me.
sounds like we you need to have like a website where you can find all of that useful
I know,
information.
and I ain't getting paid to tell y'all about these books. My husband does marketing. He's in the other room, and I know we're gonna have a conversation about that when we get off of here. He's gonna say you are not getting paid to be telling people to go read those other people's books, but at the same time, I don't want y'all going in there blind either. So learn all you can.
Nika, you need some affiliate links.
That's what he says. That's what he says. You need to get some money. You telling people to read these people's books, and you ain't getting no money. So yeah, I'm working on it, y'all. Get these little coins.
Yeah, I would just say one advice that I would give is that some of the mistakes I see beekeepers making at the beginning, and there can be an inclination to want to go see your hives. Like it's very exciting to have a new hive as a beekeeper, as a new beekeeper. Don't mess with them too much. When they first get installed, you need to leave them alone for weeks, honestly. Like maybe, check on them, but don't do a full hive check. And then even after that, don't go more than 1 to 2 times a week to go do a hive check. Um, and so I would just say yeah, don't mess with them too much because they don't like it. And also they know what they're doing. So just be careful not to go too often is the main advice that we give.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, don't, once you put them in place, give them a couple weeks before you mess with them. And it should be probably every other week, bi-weekly is when you should be actually inspecting your hives. You should not be doing any more than that unless you know that there's a problem. And an inspection is not always opening that box up. An inspection, like Karen said, is you sitting in front of your hive, monitoring and watching them as they come and go, making sure that they're bringing in resources, they're pulling out stuff that's not supposed to be in there. Like as long as they're doing that, then you know that they're functioning. So, and a lot of people feel like they have to go through every single frame when they're inspecting the hives, and you don't. The main ones you're going to do are going to be the ones in the center. Those are the ones you really want to inspect because that's where your queen lays her brood, and there's going to be a lot of resources there. And as long as you see live brood or uncapped or capped brood, then you know that your queen is doing her job. And a lot of times that's all we really need to know, unless you're in a season where you're watching out for your mites or wax moths or beetles and things like that. And that's going to be based on your actual area. So if you're not a part of a cooperative extension or a beekeepers association in your area, I suggest you look them up as well because they're going to have the best information on your area.
Yeah, that was going to be my advice as someone who is fairly new in beekeeping. My best advice is A, to connect it to the talk that we're having right now. The whole thing about, and I kind of rushed through this point, probably should have made that point. The check your energy at the door, because if you don't, they will. Um, they 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 want you to be calm. They need you to be calm, and you have to remain calm when you're when you're in that hive, when you're in their space. Um, the second part point that I would make for new beekeepers is finding someone, like Nika said, someone locally. Uh, Beekeeping is it's very local. You know, what Nika experiences out in Arizona, uh, Karen and I don't experience over here. We have a winter. In that slide, you could see that my hive was all wrapped up or whatever. That's because we have a winter here and we have to, do things differently than Nika does. So learn from the people in your area. Also, learn the temperament of your bees. Spend time with them and just, watch them, because that will tell you a lot about your hive. And it's going to vary from hive to hive, season to season. You know, it's everything's depending on your queen. And if she's spicy, you're going to have a spicy hive. And if she's chill, you're going to have a chill hive. So, yeah, that's my little tidbit of advice for new beekeepers.
Any more questions anybody has? Or comments or suggestions, or just say hey? Sarah, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thanks so much for letting me be here. I I'm a clinical social worker by training and started beekeeping 7 years ago. Initially just as something for myself, and I really wanted to make beeswax candles actually, and wanted to harvest my own beeswax. And then discovered how incredibly grounding and spiritual and therapeutic it was. And so since then have started and working hard to grow an organization that uses beekeeping for youth as a way of building job skills and also as a way of addressing mental health issues. And so I was wondering if anyone knows of any specific research about like we all know and we all have these stories and case examples and experiences, but does anyone know of any like numbers that supports the impact of beekeeping on mental health?
I do know that the USDA specifically has studies that are available on their website.
Okay.
If you look under livestock, bees are listed as livestock under the USDA. They
Mhm.
are treated as such, and we can insure them as such.
Yep.
We can register them as such, and there's a lot of studies under there. I don't have any specifics at this moment, but I do know that the USDA has studies that are under their website. If you look under livestock, if you look
Mhm.
under bees, that there should be a section there under honeybees, and there should be a list of all of their studies there that break down that information for you.
Okay. And so maybe there's something there on, um, yeah, on the impact. Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
Sarah, also, I would love to connect. Can you put in the chat what your organization is? And
Mhm.
love for us to connect. So just FYI too, for the three of us between Bruce, Nika, and myself, we're actually starting a organization for beekeepers, especially centering Black beekeepers. But we want our beekeepers, and that's a part of our identity as well, but we would love to just be connected with you all. That's why we're trying to do ongoing sessions, and so hopefully we can connect with all of you, whether it's through beekeeping or nonprofit work or whatever, and so stay tuned for all of that.
I'm actually going to drop a link in the chat to the USDA page. They collect surveys there as well, so there's a lot of data. If you look under newsroom too as well, there should be videos. and articles that you can search under there, under that newsroom tab. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions?
Sorry, I was just typing and trying to find something for Sarah. I found a study that I'm going to drop in the chat, and hopefully that works for you.
Thank you so much.
I'm curious to know for you all who are getting hives this spring, how are you feeling about it? Are you excited, nervous? Do you feel ready? I'm just here. We don't have to have any formal conversation, but I'm just curious to know if y'all want to let us know where you're at in the journey and how you're feeling about it.
Well, I know I'm excited, right? Because last season I lost my bees during the summer. And it was one of those things where we went in and they were just all gone. No sign, no dead bees, no nothing. Everybody just gone. Resources gone, babies left, gone. And so I'm excited because I'm starting over and I'm getting some local bees. I was hoping to order more genetic specific bees for Man Lake, but they weren't doing nukes this year. And I don't like having packaged bees sent to me without, and if they're not as a nuke, because so the difference between packaged bees and nukes when you're ordering bees. Packaged bees is a container that just has bees in it. It will have a queen, but it will just have bees. If you're ordering nukes, that comes with frames, that come with resources, that come with queen, that comes with babies, and they're easier to install and they're easier to keep on space during that time. So a lot of times when you're putting just a package of bees on your space, you need to make sure that you have everything for them to get them going immediately, feeding immediately, watering immediately. You should definitely have those things anyway, but it becomes more intense when they don't have frames built out and they don't have resources. So you're going to be feeding them more and making sure that you're on top of making sure they have water and everything they need to build out that space. But when you buy a nuke and it has the frames already, everything is already built on it. They're just basically moving their home from one spot to another. So I'm excited that I'm getting nukes and they're local. The guy is not too far from me. Of course, they're not, genetically certified, but the guy has been beekeeping here for over 20 years. He has a lot of experience. He is very mindful about, like, when he's splitting swarms and creating queens, he does his own queen rearing. And so he does all that. So I'm really excited about it. I get mine in 2 weeks. And then once that happens, my classes will be back up and running, and they'll be, for some of them will be virtual. And so I'm like really excited. Because for me, this is definitely bee season here in Arizona. It's warming up really quickly. We're already hitting 80s, and so we only got a couple months before I hit that 110 mark, and I will be getting it in.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy.
I know, and I'll say this: yes, we do have from June through September into September. It is definitely high here, and it's definitely uncomfortable working your hives during that time. And you have to be up when the sun comes up in order for you to not die of dehydration while you're trying to inspect your hives. And you learn to be real quick about it. If there's no unnecessary lollygagging, but the rest of the year it's perfect. We don't get snow, right? And we can inspect them pretty much all year round here. So that's the benefits of me being here.
Well, I'm excited for this season. Excited that my girls lasted over the winter. Excited that you guys came and hung out with us. Yeah, I think it's been a good session.
Yes.
We have one more thing before we go. We are going to be hosting an April session. That one will be, as of right now, about beekeeping and looking at the practice of beekeeping from a hobbyist versus a commercial practice. And so our hope is to bring someone on who can talk about it, especially as a commercial beekeeper or even a few people. And so we don't have a date for that, but please stay connected. We'll also email out um information about it, but also just, look on Instagram and you'll find it as well once we have dates finalized. But just so you all know, that's what we're planning for the month of April. Thank you, everyone. And yes, we're gonna stop the recording.